Let's talk about some of the biggest unsolved mysteries in 40k. As a setting, Warhammer 40k is intentionally vague and mysterious, with countless unanswered questions about every facet of the galaxy, and I've chosen 6 of my favourites to go through with you all today. Almost every known Tyranid Hive fleet operates in broadly the same way, moving from planet to planet, stripping each of biomass before moving on. But Hive fleet Tiamat acts completely differently. Instead of consuming worlds outright, they have infested an entire star system, treating each of its worlds as huge farms in order to grow food for a monstrous Tyranid bioform, though what purpose this serves is as yet unknown. The Tiamat system, which gave the fleet its name, was discovered during the 35th millennium. It contained 7 death worlds, each swarming with dangerous life forms. As the greater Tyranid threat had not been discovered by this point, and as there was no sense in settling on the planetary equivalents of Australia, the system was left more or less undisturbed, until a group of Eldar Rangers from Craftworld Eandon landed on the jungle world of Zeophora. There they discovered a continent-spanning Tyranid organism that gave off a horrifically strong shadow in the warp, causing several of the Rangers to go into convulsions upon getting close to it, their minds sent into shock by the force of the bioform's nullifying aura. Since the fall of Cadia and the opening of the Cicatrix Maledictum, Hive Fleet Tiamat's little pet has begun screaming into the warp, and more Genestealer cults have begun travelling to the Tiamat system to deliver even greater amounts of biomass. While we don't know what exactly the purpose of the creature is, it could be anything from a Tyranid version of the Astronomicon, a beacon to bring more Hive fleets into the galaxy, kind of like a giant organic Pharaoh's device, a living alternative to the Necron pylons, or something even more sinister. Perhaps it is intended to serve as an ambassador to other species. When the Chaos God Tzeentch sought knowledge of the future, he travelled to the Well of Eternity, a location within the warp at the very centre of reality, where time and space themselves both begin and end. Understandably not wanting to jump straight in himself, Tzeentch instead tossed in every greater demon that he could get his hands on, though none would return save for Kairos Fateweaver. Hunched and wizened, Kairos had somehow been aged by his trip into the Well, which is kind of a big deal for demons who are made up of pure emotion and are therefore completely and utterly removed from the concept of age. Oh, and he also had 2 heads, one that could see the future and one that could see the past. The main mysteries surrounding the Well are A, what is it, and B, why did Kairos survive when none of the other demons did? Starting with the second of those questions, to answer it we need to establish what a demon actually is in 40k. Every demon, greater or lesser, is a fragment of their respective god given individuality. By throwing Kairos into the Well, Tzeentch tossed a bit of himself in, so you would think that Kairos now being able to see the future would mean that Tzeentch could too, but you would be wrong. Tzeentch still lacks that ability, which has led to him suspecting that whatever crawled back out from the Well wasn't actually Kairos Fateweaver at all, but something else, something disconnected from Tzeentch that simply believes itself to be Kairos. As for what the Well actually is, I have absolutely no idea, but I did find this Reddit comment that kind of makes sense, essentially saying that the Well of Eternity represents the idea of knowledge itself. I'm not entirely sure I understand what they're getting at completely, but it seems broadly plausible. The Ghoul Stars is a region of space in the galactic northwest, characterized by a terrifyingly high concentration of dead worlds, planets where human civilizations once thrived before being snuffed out by unknown threats. I say unknown, but there are several known threats there as well, including several hyper-aggressive Xenos species, a Necron kingdom overrun by the Flayer virus, an independent human empire run by an offshoot of the Raven Guard, and a Tyranid Hive fleet that was cut off from the hive mind after entering the region, quickly turning feral. The Ghoul Stars also spawned the Pale Wasting during the 34th millennium, an unknown threat that emerged from the region, variously referred to as a star-spawned plague that swept away dozens of human worlds, and as nightmare engines that slaughtered whole sectors. What we do know about the Pale Wasting is that 11 unnamed Astartes chapters were lost during the conflict, with the Nova Marines playing a pivotal role in finally rebooking handcuffing the threat, though the records of each of the chapters said to have participated are conspicuously absent of what was clearly a pretty significant campaign. It was certainly significant enough to warrant creating an entire new Astartes chapter to guard the stars, known as the Death Spectres. As to what the Ghoul Stars themselves are, and whether they truly are haunted, I personally like the idea that Drazak, the homeworld of the Flayed One Kingdom I mentioned earlier, was the site where Landagor died, the Catan whose death unleashed the Flayer virus onto the Necrons. We know that Drazak was a battle site during the Necron revolt against the Catan, as it is surrounded with the burned out remains of their ancient ships, and as far as I know, we don't know where Landagor fell, so it is certainly plausible that it was here, and the aftershocks of killing a Catan cursed the region even into the current day of the setting. Deep beneath the Imperial Palace on Terra lie the Black Cells, oubliettes guarded by the Custodes' shield host known as the Shadowkeepers, some of the best of the Custodes' warriors, which is saying something. Hopefully they don't have any Harlequins in the cells. Besides the 100 custodians that are on patrol at all times, the Black Cells also contain rune locks, wards, and sanctic circles throughout their corridors. It's unclear what exactly needs this level of security, but it's assuredly something bad, potentially even one of the lost primarchs, as we know due to the 9th edition Custodes Codex that Subject 11 is held there, along with a few names that are almost certainly powerful demon princes. They also had the means of repairing the phalanx down there, so it's not beyond the realms of possibility that they're also keeping SDCs and perhaps fully functioning AIs down there too, maybe even battalions of Men of Iron. During the Battle of Lion's Gate, immediately following the fall of Cadia, many of the Shadowkeepers left the cells to join the fighting, leaving only a handful behind to stand guard. When the Cicatrix Maledictum opened, several entities contained within were somehow released or otherwise escaped on their own. But if they could have escaped before, why wait until the rift opened? So something must have helped them. Anyway, the point is, they killed the Shadowkeepers left behind and escaped the cells. When the forces above learned of this, they abandoned the ongoing battle, but returned to find several cells empty and no trace of their former occupants. Whatever escaped, the Shadowkeepers have since sent warriors out into the galaxy on reclamation missions, including to the ruins of Cadia itself. A mysterious relic of the Sol system, Artifact 9 Capamu orbits the Sun between Holy Terra and Venus. It was named by the Mechanicum of Mars, and as you can see, they're a creative bunch. Described as a geodesic sphere of black metal 30 kilometers in diameter, with its interior marked by honeycombed passages and catacombs, the artifact has been seen orbiting the Sun in even the earliest stellar charts of the Sol system. Its origin is unknown, and it may predate the Dark Age of technology, or even humanity itself, though what is known is that it is completely invisible to all methods of detection save physical touch and the naked eye, neither of which are particularly reliable in space as I'm led to believe, particularly when the thing you're trying to look at is the same colour as the void surrounding it. Since the formation of the Imperium, there has been countless analysis of the relic, but nothing has thus far been able to explain what it is and what it's doing next to Terra. And of course, as it's the Imperium, there have been many attempts to blow it up, though nothing has left so much as a scratch on its surface. The most likely explanation for 9 Kappa Mu is that it is a Necron Blackstone construct of some kind, as they share the same properties, though its original purpose and why it is in the Sol system of all places is shrouded in mystery. During the late 41st millennium, an invasion force under General Yeta Elbeth was sent to reconquer the chaos-held Hive world of Fornax Aleph. Due to warp storms, the fleet was scattered, and Elbeth ended up reaching the world with only a third of his force and no Astartes support. Despite this, Elbeth wasted no time in sending the frigate Ziegler to assess the strength of the planet's defenders. To the bafflement of the fleet, the Ziegler encountered no resistance, reporting that the void around the planet was entirely empty of all ships. Furthermore, it found absolutely no trace of activity on the surface. No Vox traffic, power, movement, nothing. The hives of Fornax Aleph, which should have contained billions if not trillions of civilians, read as completely empty and dead. Upon landing on the surface, Elbeth's forces found meals abandoned on tables and half-completed games of regicide, but no sign of life and no evidence as to what had happened. For 2 months, Elbeth remained on the planet, planet, reporting horrifying screams echoing through the hives in the dead of night, though no source or origin was ever found. And then Elbeth's transmissions abruptly ceased. 80 days later, the Astartes reinforcements finally arrived, in the form of the Iron Snakes, finding the planet just as abandoned as Elbeth had. All the Astartes found on the planet was 2 drop pods and a Lehman Russ battle tank stranded 80 stories up on top of a hab block. All of the Vox headsets in the tank were missing, except for the cords, which had been severed and the ends fused. The only sign of human life was a single gauntlet containing a calcified hand, still gripping the gearbox lever. Before the snakes could evacuate the world, a previously undetected asteroid slammed into the planet's northern hemisphere, setting off volcanic eruptions and wrapping the planet in a shroud of dust as a horde of demons erupted from the impact site. By the time the remainder of the fleet finally rocked up, the Iron Snakes had eliminated the demons, and the world has since been recolonized. No explanation for the vanishings has ever been made, though reports of unexplained screams in the dead of night continue to this day. So that was 6 of my favourite unsolved mysteries in the 42nd millennium. If there are any more that you think I should have covered, or if you have any theories for the ones I did, please leave them in the comments. I love reading all of your thoughts. Like, subscribe, all the rest, and I'll see you in the next video.